right. Hello, namaste. Welcome to your yoga practice on Tuesday, April 20th, 2021. Let's begin in a comfortable, easy seat. Keep in mind that can always look different than yesterday's or last week's easy seat. Maybe you explore crossing the opposite leg in front, or good to see some Virasana, hero's pose. Sitting tall, bring your hands together at heart center. Inhaling here and exhaling. Preparing for a one long Om. Inhale. Lower your hands. You can release your palms up to the sky or palms down. Palms down is said to be more grounding, soothing, whereas palms up to the sky is a position of receptivity, openness. Notice your inclination, which way feels more comfortable to you today. And notice, if you can, your heart rate. Maybe noticing the beating of your heart. Just like the breath, our heartbeat is our constant companion. And just like the breath, if it's ever anxiety provoking to notice it, you can drop that and switch to a different sensory experience. So maybe checking in with the temperature of the air on your skin, or the feeling of your fabric, or the yoga mat on your skin. Exploring the senses, maybe you can notice what your space smells like. Notice the sounds you can hear around you. Bring your hands onto your knees, and as you inhale, draw your heart forward, and exhale, draw the heart back in space. You can close your eyes here if you'd like, stretching the spine forwards and backwards. Keeping in mind that the heart space is on the front body as well as the back body and the side body. So this whole space is our heart space, radiating in all directions. We are at least three-dimensional. Inhaling and exhaling, and switch directions when it feels good. Maybe you lift your chin, lift your gaze if your eyes are open as you inhale, and take it the other way as you exhale. Notice where you feel sensation. Notice the pelvic bowl rotating around as we breathe, pressing into different parts of your muscle attachments on the pelvis. Return to a long spine. Bring your toes out in front of you. You can hold on to your thighs here. If you like, you can bring your hands back behind you for support. We'll explore Navasana boat pose. So tipping back on your hips, maybe you just play here, finding a little air and then letting the toes come back down. And maybe you find some balance and float the legs up, parallel to the earth. Keep the knees and the big toe knuckles together. Keep lengthening your spine, engaging your abdominal muscles, lifting the crown of your head up towards the sky, shoulders sliding down. Maybe you can float your hands off of your legs, Fingertips reaching towards toes. Toes are spread really wide. Core engaged as you breathe here. You can always back out at any time, and you can also always go farther. So maybe you extend your legs farther or further in that instance. Keep breathing as we ponder grammar. And as you have had enough, we'll slowly lower the legs down. Pause for a breath, lengthening your spine. Tip back on your hips. See if you can find a little balance. Let's all bring our hands to the mat by our hips. I'm getting a stare down from Toby today. We'll bicycle pedal our feet high. So bicycle pedaling, one leg long and then the other. Keep lengthening your spine, lengthening your core. Just a few cycles here, and then we switch directions. Back pedaling. I used to love getting up to fast speed on my bicycle and then back pedaling. Breathing deeply and then slowly returning to Sukhasana, easy seat, but let's cross the opposite leg in front. And quickly taking the circles each direction again. Noticing where you feel sensation, breathing into that. Switching directions as it feels good for you. Another cycle or two of breath. And return to neutral. Make your way into tabletop position. Blanket under knees if you'd like a little extra support or kindness to the knees. And pass through a few cow and cat, warming up the spine. So inhale, belly drops, shoulder blades slide together. Draw your heart forward like you're in cobra pose. Exhale, push the ground away, rounding the spine, chin to chest. Take your time moving through these familiar postures. Because they're familiar, we can be sure that we're refining the small details, not just mindlessly moving through it. Notice the sensation of your weight pressing into your foundation, so especially your hands here. How can you distribute that weight evenly? So we're being kind to our wrists that carry us through so much of this practice. Wrap your upper arms around so that the elbows point back more towards your thighs. Try to keep that engagement as you tuck your toes, and as you come to an exhale, send the hips high, lengthening your spine. Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Take any movement that feels good here. About 5 slow breath cycles. And as you settle in, allow your head to hang heavy. You're looking back towards your legs. Core engaged. Gentle bend in the knees to allow your spine to lengthen. If we straighten or force our legs straight, it'll create some pressure and rounding in the low spine. That's hard on the back. On an inhale, look forward between your hands, engage your core. Exhale, make your way to the top of the mat. Maybe you hop, maybe you walk. Hang heavy, Uttanasana, wide stance. On an inhale, root down to rise all the way up, long spine, arms reaching out and up. Exhale your hands together at heart center. Inhale your arms out and up. Exhale, fold forward, hands touch down to earth or blocks. Float your right foot slowly back in space. Inhale, draw your heart forward. Exhale, lower your right knee. Inhale, lift your torso. Now your back toes can be tucked under if you want that stretch on the plantar fascia. For a little more stability, we can flatten the top of the foot out. Our left ankle is right under the left knee. Imagine dragging your right knee towards your left heel. That gives us isometric muscle engagement. Also helps to square the hips towards neutral. Core engaged, tailbone drop down, arms reaching up. You can stay here or inhale to reach and exhale, goddess, cactus your arms. Heart lifting up, shoulder blades together and down. On an inhale, re-extend your arms. Exhale your hands down to block or mat. Tuck your right toes. Inhale here. Exhale, step back into plank pose. Inhaling in plank. Exhaling in plank. Core engaged, push the earth away. Inhale, forward on your tippy toes. Exhale, lower down halfway and hover. Elbows are hugging into your ribs. Untuck your toes. Inhale, lift your heart, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. About 3 breaths here. On an inhale, send your right heel to the sky, 3-legged dog. Look forward. Exhale, step or swing the right foot to the top of the mat, whatever it takes to get there. Right ankle lands under the right knee. As we inhale, we lengthen our spine. Exhale, lower your left knee. You can tuck or untuck your left toes. On an inhalation, we rise up. Send some attention to your left front hip. Notice how it feels as we give it some length and breath. You're welcome to stay here or inhale to really reach and exhale, cactus your arms. Inhale, re-extend the hands to the sky. Exhale, hands to mat or block. Tuck your left toes, preparing to step forward. Inhale and exhale, stepping into Uttanasana, forward fold. On an inhale, rise all the way up, arms out and up. Exhale, hands to heart center and down by your side. I'm going to move the blanket out of the way, so you may do the same. And then from the top of your mat, inhale your arms out and up, really reach high. Exhale, hinge forward. Hands touch down, left foot steps back, setting up for warrior one. So left toes towards the top left corner of the mat, anchor into the pinky side edge of the left foot. On an inhale, we rise up. You know I always like to check in with my hips, guiding the left hip forward, right hip back, and then bending into that front knee. Core engaged, tailbone anchored down, so we're lengthening our spine. And when I say tailbone anchored down, we still allow the natural curve of the spine. That is the wonder that allows us to walk upright. As it distributes the pressure, the weight. Inhale to reach. Exhale, open up to Virabhadrasana 2. Adjust your feet as you need to. Land with heel to arch alignment, still anchored into the pinky side edge of your back foot. Shoulders stacked over hips. That right ankle is over or under the right knee. Keeping the collarbones and the shoulders really broad, gaze over the middle finger of your right hand. Take a second to glance down. Make sure you can see your right big toe on the inside of your right knee. If not, then engage your gluteal muscles as you rotate the leg out to the right a bit more. Another big inhalation here. And exhale. Bring your hands to your hips. Pivot so your feet are parallel. Toes pointing towards the long edge of your mat. Anchored into the pinky side edge of your feet. With your hands on your hips, press your big thumbs down so we neutralize our pelvic bowl. We have a tendency to tip it forward, which is really a tightening of the low back, tightening of the front hips. So always creating length where we can. Shoulders relax down. Inhale, lift the crown of your head to the sky. Core engaged. Exhale, tip forward. Tipping forward from the hips, and then lower your hands to the mat. If you can reach your block and you'd like to set a block under your head, please do so. Don't lose your connection with the outer edges of your feet. Make sure we're not rolling in on our ankles. You can even play with it by looking at your ankles and explore relaxing them and see what happens. Your arches probably drop as your ankles roll in. And then as you actively engage the outer edges of your feet, you'll notice your arches lift, ankles more supported. Breathe here. As always, you can take any variations that you like. So if your body's calling for movement, you might sway side to side. Maybe you walk your hands back behind you, underneath you, or maybe you just settle in for stillness. About 3 more breaths. Bring your hands back to your hips. Really anchor into your feet, especially the outer edges. Engage your legs so that the kneecaps lift, thighs engaged. And on an inhale with a long spine, rise up. Pivot on your toes so that your heels come in, toes pointing out. Let's start with hands on hips, just so we can really guide our hips to stay neutral as we start to lower our hips, bending our knees into goddess pose. Adjust your feet as need be. You can imagine you're leaning back against a wall and sliding down it. We're really trying to engage our thighs outward. So still hoping that we can sort of see our big toes on the insides of our knees, that our knees are not knocking in, but rather opening out. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, settle in goddess pose. Drawing your shoulder blades together and down, tailbone down. Keep pressing into your feet, pushing the ground away. You're welcome to stay here. If you'd like a little movement, we can play with that heart breath we did a couple weeks ago. Inhale, I like to bring my hands to my heart. Inhale. Exhale, push the ground away, giving your love to the world. Inhale, bring it back in. Exhale. A couple more times here. All right, stand back up out of goddess pose. Pivot so your feet are back to parallel. Drop into your right knee, finding Skandasana. Now your right heel might have lifted off of the mat. That's fine. You can practice this with your left foot really anchored into the mat, or usually I prefer my left toes to reach to the sky. It's really kind of working into different muscle groups in the legs. Maybe you can adjust yourself so that your bent leg heel comes down to the earth. Maybe that doesn't feel so good. We'll just be here for a couple more breaths, and you can fold forward as I was kind of naturally starting to do, or you can keep your hands together at heart center, finding balance here. So a couple of options in Skandasana. Okay, and then as we switch to the other side, you can bring your hands to the mat to make the move, or you can try to stand up and switch on over. Just playing. You might surprise yourself, or it might go exactly as you thought. We never know if we don't try. Breathe wherever you go. Maybe you explore shifting your extended leg foot to the ground or to the sky. Maybe you fold forward for the next breath or two if you're not already there. Inhale to lengthen your spine. If that blocks in front of you, you can bring it with you as we pivot, returning to a lunge. Right leg forward, left leg long. Inhale here. Exhale, step forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, lift halfway, long spine. Exhale, fold forward. And on an inhale, we rise all the way up, arms out and up. Exhale your hands to heart center. Inhale, arms out and up. Exhale, hinge forward. Right foot floats back in space, setting up for warrior one. On an inhale, rise up, Virabhadrasana 1. If you like, hands to hips, guiding your left hip back, right hip forward, tailbone down, core in, lengthening the spine. As we extend our arms, we can always bring them out wider to give our shoulders a bit of relief. Notice your back foot and how you're energizing it. Maybe we can all send a little more to the pinky side edge of that foot as we inhale. And exhale, opening up into Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. Take the time to check in with your foundation, heel to arch alignment, really energized into the pinky side edge of your back leg. We can see the front big toe on the inside of the knee. Broad chest, reaching through the fingertips, gazing over the left fingertips. Another breath or two here. Notice if you're holding somewhere, perhaps you can relax your jaw, maybe wiggle your fingers to get a good stretch through the arms. Now hands to hips, straighten your front leg, pivot on your heels so you are back prepared for Paschimottanasana, wide leg forward fold. Inhale and exhale, hinge forward. Settle in for 3 to 5 breaths. And if you'd like, as we breathe here, maybe you walk one hand to the opposite leg, taking a quick twist, and then going over to the other side. If you took any variations, we'll return to neutral. Check in with the foundation. How are you sending your weight and energy into your feet? Making sure that we're connected to the outer edges of our feet. Legs are engaged, hands to hips. And as we inhale, we lift up with a long spine. Pivot so your heels come in, toes point out. Inhale for length. Exhale, sink into goddess pose. Inhale, reach up. Lengthen your legs, and exhale, settle in. Breathe here. Heart lifted, shoulder blades sliding together and down. Notice if you're really leaning forward here. See if you can keep your shoulders stacked over your hips. Another breath or two. As we inhale, stand up. Pivot back so feet are parallel. Next inhale creates extra length in the spine. As we exhale, come back down into Skandasana. And make your way to the other leg. And then pivot so we find ourselves in a lunge facing your front edge of the mat. I got a little turned around. Plant your hands, inhale, and exhale, step back to downward facing dog. You can always come to child's pose if you prefer. Your hands might be on blocks, giving yourself a little more space, kind of like go-go gadget arms. If you're in Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog with me, let's all put a little micro bend in our knees and micro bend in our elbows. And notice which way our elbows pointed as we bent them. You know where I'm going with this. Wrap them around so the elbows point back more towards the thighs. Your torso might lift as that happens. Re-extend your arms. Try to keep the elbows pointing back towards the thighs. Re-anchor into your index finger side of the hands. That is a tricky, tricky cue. Inhale. Exhale, lower your knees. Find child's pose. After that work, it might feel good to give your shoulders a break, bending your arms and resting your head on your hands. This week, as we explore the idea of letting go, we can give a little attention to the idea of letting go of our idea of how things should be or how things should play out. Francisco Goldman said, "Destiny is a mysterious thing, sometimes enfolding a miracle in a leaky basket of catastrophe." As you inhale, go ahead and lift your torso. Come onto your hips as you swing your legs around. Bring the blocks with you as you roll down onto your spine. Soles of the feet come together as our legs open up, Supta Baddha Konasana. I like to use the blocks under my thighs. If you don't have blocks, no worries. Settle in as comfortably as you can, maybe using your hands to support your thighs. Press the soles of your feet together. Heels, pads of the toes. Your hands can rest on your hips or thighs or belly, maybe even out by your sides. Practice letting go physically. And as we practice that, it seems that it might help us to let go mentally some of the attachments. You're welcome to stay here or to extend your legs long, moving the blocks out of your way as you drop into Shavasana, corpse pose. Breathe deeply. Notice your breath coming and going. What can you let go of? Destiny is a mysterious thing, sometimes enfolding a miracle in a leaky basket of catastrophe. You're welcome to stay longer if you have the time in Shavasana. We'll go ahead and close our practice by returning to a comfortable seat. Move slowly as you arrive there. Sitting tall and breathing deeply. Inhale for one long Om. Thank you for taking the time to share your yoga practice with us. Namaste.